if we
Whoa,
get
whoa,
married.
whoa.
He's like,
Wait,
Colin,
back up
I
for a
So
was
you,
21 with 3 kids.
Is it safe to say you're in love?
for a second, you know what that means though, right? When you accidentally leave something at someone's house, like for example, if a guy leaves something at my place, you know what I'm assuming.
You have been on reality television for over a decade.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a huge chunk of your life. And you started out on 16 and Pregnant, right?
Mm-hmm.
How did you get cast for that in the first place? Like being 16, pregnant, like how did that show all come to be?
So after my mom died and my husband had just had an affair, no one,
Why? What?
All right, guys, welcome back to Majesty Mike. Today we have Mackenzie from Teen Mom. Mackenzie, welcome to the pod.
hi.
How,
Joining us from Florida.
yeah, how are you? How's Florida? How's the weather? How's everything out there?
It is warm. It's magical. It is beautiful. I love Florida.
I honestly couldn't agree more. I have been and visited a couple times myself, Fort Myers area. Miami as well is amazing. It's unreal. Are you close to Miami at all?
I'm actually closer to Fort Myers than
Uh,
Miami, but I'm
it
like 3 hours from Miami.
gotcha.
Right. How are
Okay.
the kids liking it?
They love it. It's just like we are very active people and we're outdoors a lot and every weekend we do something. So we're thriving here. It's kind of hard to go back to Oklahoma and be like the world is spinning slower. We can't go outside because it's too cold. Like what
Mm,
is there to do? So
Yeah.
we live here.
For sure. You know, when we had you coming on, I was thinking about it. You have been on reality television for over a decade.
Hmm.
Like, that's a huge chunk of your life. And you started out on 16 and Pregnant, right?
Hmm.
How did you get cast for that in the first place? Like, being 16, pregnant, like, how did that show all come to be?
So I was raised in a very Christian home, as many know who know my story. I was not allowed to watch MTV.
mm,
So I didn't I didn't know much about the show. And that was when they had already aired like the first, Teen Mom 1 and Teen Mom 2. And then I was on Teen Mom 3 and I was pregnant and I have type 1 diabetes. So I was on this page of like is anyone with it? I would like to hear from other moms who are type 1 diabetic and they're like, oh my gosh, MTV is casting right now for 16 and pregnant. You should go on there and share your story about diabetes and having a baby with diabetes. And so I got on MTV.com and my sister's like, sure as heck, they are definitely casting. And we sent in like a 2 sentence email. And the next thing you know, they were out at my house. I remember being in geography class and texting my mom and I'm like, "Hey mom, I know like I'm not allowed to watch MTV, but how would you feel about being on MTV?" And she was like, "No, are you kidding?" And I'm like, "Well, they're on their way to the house like
oh,
right now." And I was expecting like one little camera, like a little vlogging camera, and it was like 4 minivans, a
no.
bodyguard, 4 cameras, like a whole crew.
Crew.
And one
Yeah.
thing just led into another. But I didn't think I was going to continue my story. In our minds, it was just going to be a 1 episode thing.
Right. Huh. That's really interesting. Would you ever look back on those episodes?
I refuse to watch any of it. I have
Gotcha.
never went back and watched my 16 and pregnant. It is so cringy. Um, Yeah, I don't know her.
Fair enough.
Oh my gosh. Would you ever consider doing any type of reality television again? Like there's so many upcoming shows, even on Netflix, right? There's so many cool reality shows coming out. Would you ever do anything like that?
Depending on what it was, this was like kind of robbed me from a lot of my peace. And it's a very hard world to live in, especially when you're sharing your life. I definitely would love to do something more of like the challenge or something like I don't want to say, is it fear factor? Like I am someone who would like go and do like competitions, but as far as like sharing your life and then watching it play out on TV and it's actually nothing about your life, it's a story kind of that they wanted for you, and then reading the comments, like it is so hard on your mental health. And people like think they know you and they have no clue who you are. Or
Mm.
just like for me, I'm not on the show right now and I'm living a much better life and I've been like more my I don't know, I'm a way better person than I was last year, and the episodes keep airing and people are still talking about that. Like I was with my husband and sticking up for him, and now I'm like chose to walk away and I will not stick up for him anymore. It's just like I don't know, that's what's hard is once it's out there, and then my kids go to school and they hear, I watched you. And so, but depending on the reality show, absolutely. I would love to do it. It is fun.
I feel like I'm more like you. I'm more athletic as well. So I would love to do like The Amazing Race or any type of those cool reality shows as well. Even Fear Factor, like you said, I think I would eat some raunchy things for money.
Oh,
Big
hell
Brother,
yeah.
stuff like that.
Oh my God. I think I would kill it at Big Brother. Would you ever do Big Brother?
I actually don't know about that show, but I did almost go on gosh, they were casting in Tampa, which I'm right by Tampa.
Hmm.
Is it Love is Blind?
Yes.
Yes.
We love
Is it
that
that show?
show.
So yeah, I mean there's like some that I almost did, but I didn't.
I think you would be so
That would
great
be
for Love is
fun.
Blind. We have a couple guests from that show coming on all three different seasons, and I think you'd be a great candidate.
It's a fun show. It's a really fun show. And being single, I've never been single, especially as an adult, and it's a whole new world.
Yeah, a whole new chapter for you. That's so exciting. So can I ask Mackenzie, did you leave MTV and leave the show on your own terms? And was it all amicable or how did that all go down?
So, when filming the last season, I was the least paid person on the show. I really don't know the story around that. Probably because I was featured. I mean, I came back later. And so I always had to work really, really hard. And I run my fitness business. And so I always knew I had to have like a job to survive, or to pay my bills. And they were very like, wow, we wrapped up your season in half the time than anyone else because you got so much going on. You're doing this and that and this and that. And they'd film me like running my fitness business, teaching these classes, doing all this stuff, but then it would air and it was like me sitting on the couch talking. And I'm like,
Right.
oh my gosh, this is awful. But they, I really don't know. I mean, I did not leave with any bad relationship with them.
Mhm.
They just kept telling my manager, we don't know where the show's going. The views are dropping. It's not how it used to be. I mean, everyone knows that Teen Mom had its glory days,
Mhm.
but in
Right.
every show, it's going to fall off. It can only last for so many years. And so they just, I mean, I just saw on social media that they were continuing and they just didn't ask me to be on the future seasons. However, this happened in the middle of my divorce, and I am so happy that I was not filming in that year because I probably one wouldn't have left my husband, and two, that was very, very messy. As all divorces are, and I would not have wanted that on TV at all.
Right. So about your divorce, can I ask, Josh really hated the way that he was portrayed in the show. He's made that very clear. He felt like he wasn't portrayed fairly and that the show that with the editing and everything. In hindsight, I know obviously you guys are divorced now. Do you feel like the audience have an idea of who he is, or do you feel like he's correct and he was not portrayed the way that he really is in real life?
Um Josh did that to himself. I think like getting out of it and not being in this place where I'm always having to stick up for him, I can see things in 2020 vision and for what they are. And I am going to say how I feel about it and how I feel about it. And this is just like honesty is I think they made him look a lot better than he was. I actually don't think
Oh.
he wants
Wow.
people to know really who he is. And then I think he thought that he was gonna kind of get away and then become famous. Like, oh, we're divorcing So now people are really going to love me. I can show them who I really am. And that kind of backfired on him. And he made the same mistakes in his other relationship when it comes to what people thought he was, a cheater. And he's still doing it. So when he left, I'm like, you know what? No, Josh did that to himself. I actually think that I fought to make him look better than he was. And there was a lot that I hid. There was a lot that I didn't share. And I wanted, because that reflects on me. I wanted people to think Josh was amazing because I was with him. Right. And so I fought to make his image look good because there at the end, people were unsubscribing to my fitness business and saying, I can't watch you do this anymore. If you're going to stay with him, I do not support you at all. And so it got really bad at the end. But no, I do not agree that they portrayed him in any way. And the manager was always, or manager, my, why am I not thinking of the right word? Not manager, my producer. My producer was always on his side. Like, Josh, my dude, just show up and film and like fake that you are a good guy. Like we're doing everything that we can to be on your side. Like he did it to himself. We're all looking at each other like,
yeah. Oh man. You said something in 2020 that really stuck with me to your sister on the show. You said, walking down the aisle, I didn't feel like Josh loved me and I was doing it for Gannon. That was a really heavy statement. And I want to ask if that's how you felt about Josh in that moment, but how did you feel in that moment? Were you going into it loving him and feeling he wasn't loving you? Or were you feel like you were just mutually trying to, do this for the sake of your son?
Yeah. Obviously we got pregnant at 16 and very shortly after meeting each other. And I'm not only from a very small town with very small town, closed minds. Actually, I want to say that I'm from a small town, but when you're in like middle America, more like Oklahoma, and when I was raised like Southern Baptist, I'm still strong in my faith, but I definitely got to branch out and decide like what's right and what's wrong. You work it out. My family has never seen stepmom, stepdad, generations and generations and generations. No one has seen divorce. Right. I'm the gangster that stepped in and I guess messed things up. Yeah, no one's seen divorce. So I'm like, okay, I had this baby. This is how it works. It doesn't matter, what it is. And to me, I was honoring God. I made this mistake. I got pregnant at 16. It was a sin, but now I got to marry him and spend the rest of my life with him because then God will really bless us. And that's kind of what I was taught. And so when I was walking down the aisle, I remember thinking, look at me, just look at me. He was looking down. And that's what every little girl dreams of on their wedding day is when they marry their person that they look up and they're so excited to see their bride. And he wouldn't look at me. And that was when I was like, oh no, it's too late. It is too late. I am literally walking down the aisle. And so that was a really crappy moment for me. And I kind of always knew like, this isn't my person. I always was just chasing for his love. And I don't think Josh ever did love me, right, if I'm being honest. And then we had another, and then it's like, okay, I'm really stuck. And then we had another, but I think we need to like change that up, especially Christians. We make women feel really bad for leaving marriages, and it just shouldn't be like that. Like some of us are being abused, and some of us, whether it's mentally or physically, and some of us are in really toxic, unhealthy relationships and not living life to the fullest. So I just had to kind of like not care what people thought and leave. And now I know how I can help my daughter if she's in a situation like this, but it was really hard.
Right. Well, we're excited for this next chapter of life for you.
Yeah.
I know it's like I'm starting over.
Yeah, exactly. Single and ready to mingle. That's what I say. I have to ask. I feel like I already know the answer though, and I feel like you kind of already maybe elaborated on it. But did the show kind of put blinders on you in terms of your relationship and everything like that. I always hear when people, even some of my friends, they're in relationships, and it's just when you listen to an outside person telling you something, you kind of just, you know, I don't want to say ignore them, but it kind of like you're not fazed by it. If they say, you know, he's not the one for you or something like that, they're just kind of blinded when they're in the relationship or marriage themselves. Did the show really put blinders on you at all, or?
I wouldn't say so. I was actually very, very close with my camera crew and my producer. Every producer I have, I'm still close to. I don't know if that's the case for the other girls, but I've called them crying at 2 in the morning and asked for relationship advice. I mean, sometimes I'd watch it and I'm like, the show, and I'm like, that's not really how it was at all. I don't like how that portrayed us, but
All part of the game.
I mean, yeah, and I wanted it to work so bad that when I was filming, I feel like I was living a lie. And so I just didn't come off authentic. I wanted everyone to believe we had this wonderful marriage and he loves me. And, so the affairs were humiliating. Like how everything went down was very humiliating. But in the end, I'm like, why am I embarrassed? This is my story.
Mhm.
He had an affair while my mom was dying and she passed, and it is what it is. I wish I could go back and have just filmed more authentically so that woman could relate more.
Totally understand. I always wonder, do the cast have any contact, excuse me, any contact with Dr. Drew? Like, does he ever text you guys, or do you guys just see him at the reunions?
Yeah, that's definitely just at the reunions. And sometimes I'd show up and it's like, so I used to think he really studied us, he really knew us, he really cared. And I will never forget the last reunion I did. He didn't know I could hear him on the mic. I had a mic in, he had a mic in. We had to do it different because of COVID. So we had to
Yeah.
and he was like, "Oh, whose mom died? Oh, her mom
No,
died? How'd she die?" And I'm like,
no.
my mom sat on this couch and cried to you. And it's the biggest piece of my story. And so after that, I'm like, he doesn't even know us.
That's
Right.
He's there
horrible.
to do his job. He's a very busy man. Like I hold no remorse over it or animosity over him, but it's like it really opened my eyes to this is just all entertainment. It's
Right.
very fun, but I've never ever watched reality TV.
Mhm.
I do it, but I've never watched it. And I think it's probably because I've known how it works since I was 16.
Right. Oh.
That's totally fair. Um, would you ever consider having another kid? I know, Amira, for you, I think you're done, right?
Oh, I'm so set with two. So set with two. You must be busy, mom of three.
I am, but I have a lot of energy. Like I can do this. My mom had five, and I was done, but if I had the right partner,
Mhm.
I would love to. I am in a relationship that I've never had a nice man, so it is different. But we have had this conversation of if he doesn't have kids, I do. If we get married,
Whoa.
he's like,
Wait,
all I
back up for
So
a second.
you're
So you're dating
you're
somebody.
not single.
I mean, I'm still having fun. Okay. I'm still awesome and I'm still having fun. We're really just like best friends, like
Okay.
That's
Okay.
amazing. How did you meet?
Who is it?
so I've been like the part of being single is like going on dates and figuring it out and going out dancing. Like I am just free and it feels so good, but also I'm like really picky. Like many guys have tried to date me and I'm like, no, no, no. And I'm just like picky. Like I wasn't feeling it. I gotta feel it because I never felt anything with Josh. And everyone's like, when like you're gonna feel something.
Mm.
And he asked me on a date, and I'm like, well, I gotta say no to these three other dates that I had plan that same night. So I'm like, I got to pick and choose. We just kind of like knew each other on the internet, mutual friends. He lives 15 minutes away from me in St. Pete. And I went on the day. I'm like, you choose the day. I'm going to show up. And he had a whole night planned. He cooked. We had a picnic on the beach. We went and saw the sunset. We went and saw lights. We went and saw dolphins. He had like 6 different, and then we went out dancing. And I've never had so much fun with someone. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like best friends. Like, we're like best friends. But I'm like, a guy this nice cannot like someone like me. Like, no
Why?
one.
What?
I've loved 3 men. I go after unavailable men, and I go after men who I have to chase.
Yeah.
You know? And this wasn't one of those guys. He was very nice. Too nice. And I'm like, it's not gonna work. I'm gonna like chew you up and spit you out is what's gonna happen. And so I left that night, and I'm like, that was the best night ever, but ain't no way a man that nice likes me. Like, I guess I feel like some women feel like they don't deserve. I've loved 3 men my entire life, and they all cheated on me. It's like there's a sign on my forehead that says cheat on me. I don't know. But I left my Apple Watch at his house, and he's like, the next morning, he's like, hey, you left your Apple Watch at my house, because we had texted for a while and gotten to know each other. You left your Apple Watch, and he didn't know who I was. And I really didn't want to like get there. Like, he was asking my social medias, and I'm like, who I am. Like, I just want to be a normal human dating. And so he brought the Apple Watch. Yes. Yeah. Here's my Snapchat. So he brought the Apple Watch over and just stayed and played soccer with the kids in the front yard for like 3 hours and
never left.
And I'm like,
he's been there ever since.
No, I took it slow. I kicked him out, but he just kept telling me, like, give me a chance. I really, really, really like you. And then Josh has always drove us from Florida to Oklahoma for the holidays. I drove the kids by myself all the way to Oklahoma, and he bought a plane ticket to fly to Oklahoma so he could drive us back. Cause he's like, I don't know if he's driving. And he met my family, and my family was like, oh, we like him.
The
Can
keeper.
you keep him around? So nice. Where did you find him? And I'm like, I don't know. He's an angel that fell out of the sky. So then I had to tell him who I was. But he actually is from Jamaica. And so there they don't really care about reality TV the way we in America do. And he moved here in 2016 to play professional soccer. Wow. So he's like, I looked him up because I do background checks on everyone, because I was on my date and found out a guy like had this really crazy history. So I do background checks, and when I was searching him up, I'm like, you are actually a really big deal in Jamaica. You were like famous in Jamaica for soccer. And he was like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, let me tell you about me. I was on a reality TV show.
That's so awesome.
Can we rewind for a second? You know what that means though, right? When you accidentally leave something at someone's house, like for example, if a guy leaves something at my place, you know what I'm assuming that they want to come back. Yeah. Do you think he assumed that? I really
didn't do it on purpose. I don't even know how the Apple Watch fell off. I know that sounds bad, but I don't know how the Apple Watch, is that how you get your relationships? You just leave something at his house?
I mean, that's what
Chris just keeps it.
I keep it.
He's at his house, he keeps it.
I don't tell them. I'm just kidding. No, that's funny. Awesome. That's amazing though. Congratulations. That's so exciting.
How long have you guys been together?
I've kept him a secret for a while. I mean, it's just been like months. I really don't know, because I like would talk to him and then not, and then after I met him, and now I'm just like, he is so good with my kids. I mean, obviously this is how I feel now, and I can't predict the future. But right now, I'm getting ready to go clubbing with him and his friend. His friend is visiting, and his friend's also from Jamaica too, so that's kind of fun.
Is it safe to say you're in love?
Oh gosh. I don't know. I do know that when I'm around him, I feel very good and very alive, and it's just growing more and more. He's a very easy person to love. It's just like so effortless, you know. It just feels right. But that's right now. You may invite me on in 6 months, and who knows? I mean,
We will
will.
definitely come to Florida. We're gonna chat in person.
Yeah.
nice.
Absolutely.
You guys gonna join one of my workout classes?
I will.
I'll try to.
Amir and I did a hot yoga class once, and we absolutely failed at it. Remember?
Yeah, he basically kicked us out.
Yeah, we were like laughing the whole time. Also, it was an extreme class, and we didn't realize that. So they were doing like head flips on the wall while like being quiet and doing yoga, and we were like, "What the fuck?" It was really intense. But yeah, I will do one of your classes anytime, any day.
Can you tell us a little bit about your classes, especially since it's January and a lot of people, their New Year's resolution is always to be not necessarily lose weight, but get more fit, get more active. And I know that you've been really big in that community.
Yes. So it all started when I started doing fitness modeling, and and I've always been a type 1 diabetic, and I come from a very fitness loving family. I did all-star cheer my whole life. And then I just like, we weren't making money. Josh never really worked. And I'm like, I've got to figure this out. And so I kind of looked at what was in front of me and what I loved doing. And I was doing personal training at the time. And I'm like, I have a camera and a laptop. Holy shit. I could, what? And so this is how far the world has come in 6 years. I sold DVDs. I just
Wow.
started filming myself in my sister's backyard gym. I'm so passionate. Like, I'm so passionate about it, but I did it for 4 years just out of a garage gym. I just filmed myself working and sold. And the day that I launched it, I mean, everyone was calling me crazy. I'm 21 years old. I had a 4-month-old. I was 21 with 3 kids. So, yeah, I started everything young, and I just started making workout videos. And the day I launched, I sold 3,000 workout plans.
Wow.
That's amazing.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this is where my heart is. And I've been doing it for 6 years through a lot of hell. And now it's like all online because people don't really even own DVD players anymore.
Right.
And yeah, so I moved to Florida because Oklahoma isn't really like, there wasn't much opportunity. So after my mom died and my husband had just had an affair, and I'm like, oh, I got to get out of here. But also, everyone should leave their hometown at least once.
Totally.
And so I just literally, I packed each of my kids in a tub and we moved. But now that I'm here in Florida, I do outdoor events, I do workouts. I'm in the process of opening my own studio gym. So that's really exciting. But I do personal training. I have an app. I just kind of like bloomed and grew. And Body by Mac is now a brand that like even people here in Florida invite me to do their outdoor events. And it's just become like I'm living my dream. I'm getting to do what I love, which is help women all around the world find their power back, get confident. It's not about losing weight and like being ripped. It's about like feeling and looking like becoming the best version of yourself, not comparing yourself to others, just becoming the best version of yourself. So
absolutely. And would you say beginners, it's beginner friendly?
So yeah, I have like beginners guides. I have, in the middle, and I have extreme. And then with my personal training, it's all personal to you. So I give you, I have like a full team, like a licensed dietitian, a licensed nutritionist. I have other trainers that work under the business of Body by Mac that help me give these people these personal plans. So
that's amazing.
When we move to Florida, I think we need to move really close
to Mackenzie so we can stay fit.
Yeah.
We can join all her outdoor classes.
I need to hire you as my personal trainer.
Florida is very active anyways. Like people are just outside more. Like my blood sugars are better here because I think it's the sunshine. I don't know. I just feel healthier here.
Yeah.
For sure. So do you feel like post your divorce, being in Florida, living your best life, that there's like a calmness and energy in the house? Like the kids are doing better. You seem like you're doing fantastic.
The first you know, when you don't leave, it doesn't matter what your partner is doing to you. You don't leave until you're ready, until you have that switch. And when you have that switch, it's like you find your peace and you find your power. So when I found that switch, I'll never forget the moment. It was on the 4th of July. I had that switch and I was like, oh my gosh, it happened. So when I left, you have a lot of work to do. Divorce is never pretty. It was not, it was hard. I mean, that Josh was Josh, but that's also who I grew up with since I was 16. I've carried 3 of his kids. We did a lot of life together and it was hard. But the first thing that I did, I wanted to do it right. Instead of like going out and partying or jumping into a relationship, I started journaling. I would spend 5 hours a day and I went from 2 incomes to 1. Wasn't on the show. I'm not on the show anymore. My business was going under because I haven't even been focusing. I mean, some days I couldn't get out of bed. That's how bad the end of the marriage was. And so I'm like, okay, I'm rock bottom and I get to rebuild. So let's do it right. And so when I started journaling, I started just forgiving everyone who I've ever been mad at. And that was, I mean, nothing has more energy in the character that we are in life than stuff that we've bottled in and not let out. So I kind of started letting everything out. And when I left and had the switch and then healed, it's like I'm a whole new person. People would start saying, oh my gosh, you're walking differently, you're glowing differently. And then I had a lot of work to do with the kids. And so we started doing like daily affirmations. I've never done that because I was so in survival mode. I didn't even know how to be a good mom. And it was hard to forgive myself, honestly, for a lot of the things that I have done. I had to forgive myself. And so now we have like routine. Now my job, my business is thriving. Like everything is just on such an uprise and it feels so amazing. And then by the time I met Casano, I feel like I'm the best version of myself. So whether it's him or someone else, like I did a lot of work in myself after that. So we need to stop telling women to stay.
No, I totally agree. I don't want to harp on Josh, but I'm such a big fan of the show. So I'm just curious, where is his family in all of this? Like, throughout the divorce and even now their involvement. I mean, your family has been on the show. You guys all seem super close, but there hasn't been a lot about Josh's family.
Yeah, I mean, they're not really like talkative people anyways. I wasn't ever really close to him, and my family is very like we are close. We talk. We have a celebration every 3 times a month when we're
Christmas
together.
looked crazy at your
Yes,
house. Yeah.
my mom and dad have 11 grandkids. Yeah, it's just crazy. But that's how my family functions, and his was kind of like just more laid back. I haven't heard from them. I think at this point, everyone just wanted it to be done and for us to move forward. Like, I haven't heard from them. I don't know what their thoughts are.
Okay. So they're not very involved. Right. Well, it's better than really overly involved in-laws.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do have some Instagram questions. Did we want to get to those?
I want to get to those, but I just wanted to ask, who are you closest with, or are you close with anybody from the Teen Mom cast or in touch with?
MTV never really let me hang out with any of them. I mean, the history with Brianna and Brittany is we were on Teen Mom 3 together. So we did 16 and Pregnant. We hung out in New York a lot and we did Teen Mom 3, and us Teen Mom 3 girls were really close. So she's the one that I've been around the most. And I do love Brittany and Brie, and I love their mom. We always had a lot of fun together. And so she'll reach out and check in, and she actually lives in Orlando. So I think I heard she's moving though. Is she moving to Texas, or did she just, no, she's staying in Florida. But Caitlin and Tyler, yeah. Caitlin reaches out. She's very good about remembering things and reaching out. So she's reached out on Christmas and said, I'm thinking of you because you're without your mom. She's reached out on her and my mom share a birthday. So she always remembers that day. She's sent a gift when my mom died.
Wow.
And then other than that, I've talked to Ashley and I don't really like, there's a lot of drama going on in the Teen Mom world right now. And I'm not involved.
I saw that.
Did you see that? Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
yeah.
I was like, don't go over the camera. Don't go over the camera. Hi. You guys want to meet Casanio? He just walked in.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Here.
Let's see.
I'm on the podcast. We were just talking about you.
Sure were.
This is Casanio. No, you got to show your face.
Hey. How are you?
Doing good. How are you guys doing?
Doing
We're
really
good.
good, thanks. We're so excited to be talking to Mackenzie. We're so happy we found out about you.
Yeah.
Okay, take the dogs in there. We'll finish.
That's
You look
exciting.
good. All right, shut the door so I can keep gossiping about you.
So you guys are going clubbing tonight?
Yes, we are in downtown St. Pete, Florida. Okay, so I'm not a drinker. I'm one of those that can have one drink and I am litty titty. I never drank because I was too busy being knocked up and having kids. I missed all of that, all the college. I didn't go to college. And then I moved to Florida. And these people out here are wild. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, we need to move.
That's fun. I have a lot of fun. I know. You guys need to move to Florida. It's the best. There's a lot of controversy around Florida, but I'm like in my own space. I came for the beaches. I came for the palm trees. So
Totally.
keep me out of the government. Keep me out of who's our governor and stuff. Just I'm here for the beaches, okay?
We're the same. We're the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we could hit a couple. We have a couple Instagram questions for you if you're up for it.
Yeah.
Perfect. I'll start off. So what was your resolution for 2023? Did you have one?
Well, I would say healed, but I did a lot of work in that in 2022. I mean, I didn't leave Josh until mid 2022. So, just find my peace, find my power, find my joy. I did launch my personal training on top of my workouts. And so I have like a lot of goals of how many clients I want to have, my income, but really just like happiness. You can't be like true happiness. That's very rich.
I couldn't agree more.
Totally.
Another question from Instagram. What advice would you give to another teen mom?
Yeah, I mean, you're just so young. You are going to have that baby and you're going to grow up with that baby. So give yourself a lot of love and grace and just think of everything that you do. Ask yourself, is this giving the baby a good life? Because if I would have asked myself that question, I would have done a lot of things different. I would have left a long time ago and saved myself, years of, yeah.
Makes sense. If you could go back in time, would you still do the show?
Yes, I would. I loved sharing my story. And I think like that all happened for a reason. So my mom could touch a lot of people's lives.
She definitely did. And I want to say, I feel like you handled everything so gracefully but yet vulnerably at the same time. You were really open about everything. But I do wonder, what was your thought process doing that while filming? And did you ever consider taking a break from the show?
MTV was actually very, very respectful to my mom. And they were very respectful and graceful with that whole situation. And there were times where they put down the camera. It's almost like they would feel the energy and they would put down the cameras and like buy us food or sit and talk with her or whatever. But it was actually beautiful to get to share all of that. That's why I hated when it ended and how it ended and how hurtful it was, because I'm like, well, damn, like I was very open with them in one of the most life-changing parts and pieces of my life that like I don't get back, and it meant a lot to me. And so that was hard, but it was the way that they went about it, and they all showed up to her funeral, and like she loved them and they loved her. I really think that they loved her. Um, I'll never forget when one of the guys was told, he was someone else's producer, and he was told he had to come film us. And he was like, "Oh, I have to film Angie. She is a Christian, and I don't know if she's going to want me in her house." He was gay, and his dad was a preacher, and he had a history of his dad, like, literally cutting him out of his life. So he went through a really traumatic experience. And he walked in, and she's like, gave him the biggest hug, and she loved working with him. She was so sad when he didn't get to stay with us. And he was like, "Oh my gosh, I love this woman. I love how like, oh, anyone is welcome in her house. And it doesn't matter who you are, where you come from." Like, she touched a lot of their lives too. It was beautiful getting to share it. I don't regret any of it. It wasn't hard to be vulnerable either. And I was so kind of like lost that sometimes I'd forget. Like, I forgot they filmed the funeral. They did not, they weren't in our faces. And then sometimes my mom would say, "Listen, I got 40 brain tumors, so you cannot orchestrate anything. Just turn your cameras on and start rolling." Because they will. They're like, "These are the bullet points we need to do. Here's what you need to talk about." And then she would just talk, and then they would cry. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I love these scenes because they're not picking and choosing anything or telling us what to talk about. It's just, it was so raw."
Right. I imagine it must be special that, the whole world and the audience got to fall in love with your mom a little bit and see kind of the relationship that you guys have and why you obviously loved your mom so much.
Yeah. Yeah. My mom was a runner, and my sister was a runner. And that was kind of their thing to do together. We're all in fitness. And when my mom got sick, my sister had entered a half marathon. And so did my mom before she got sick, but it was time to run the marathon. She had just got diagnosed. She's on chemo. And I'm like, "I'll run in your spot." I mean, I've done a 5K. I can so do a half marathon. Really bad idea. I do not recommend that. But I did it, and I got the running bug. So Whitney, my family is just very like different than me. I came out wired way different. Um, when I talk about doing something, or when I get my mind on something, I make it happen. That's probably why I am an entrepreneur. But when she died, when it was like, gosh, me and mom talked about doing the Disney challenge, which is a 5K, 10K, half marathon back to back. And we also talked about doing the New York City Marathon. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to make it happen. And we did both of that last year.
That's
It was,
amazing.
it
How
was
was training for it?
it was good. I mean, I stay pretty fit, but yeah, I actually probably didn't train as much as I should have. I mean, I did the Disney challenge with no training, and then I knew I was going to do the New York City Marathon, and I was going through the divorce during that. So, yeah, that was hard.
Gotcha. Sorry, I totally cut you off from your Instagram questions.
No, it's all good. I have one left from Instagram. Did the pay from 16 and Pregnant initially sway you to do the show? I know you elaborated a little bit at the beginning about why you did it and how you did it, but did the pay at all? Because we have no sense of what reality TV pays, especially these days. So yeah, did the pay at all sway you to do the show?
As far as I go, I was not paid as much as people think. And I also think Teen Mom, MTV paid us all different. And I really think they saw an Oklahoma girl that never argued. I was like, sure, I'll take that. And I know a lot of the girls would ask for more. I never did. So I know that they knew I would appreciate any amount of money. And I started finding out that I'm getting paid literally shit compared to the other girls.
Wow.
but I never got paid enough for it to be like, I mean, I enjoyed sharing my story, but Teen Mom did change a lot. Like when I was on 16 and Pregnant in Teen Mom 3, it was about being a teen mom and struggling. And it's definitely not about that anymore. It's more about like their relationships with each other. And I don't know, it just kind of lost its. I didn't enjoy filming Teen Mom OG as much as I did Teen Mom 3.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough.
But the pay, and I don't get paid as much as people think that I do. I make more in my business than I did with MTV.
Gotcha. I wanted to ask how your dad was doing. I think a lot of people could relate to, how much you've tried to take care of him and get him on the right track, especially, through his grief.
Yeah, he definitely has an army of people behind him. He's got 4 kids alive. And that was his person since the 2nd grade. Like they met in the 2nd grade. They dated through high school and they were just that very rare love story. I never ever seen my parents argue or fight. It was just an effortless love and just a small town, perfect love. It's hard. I don't think he's ever gonna, move on and find someone, but it just is what it is. He's gonna live the rest of his life just looking forward to the day he gets to be with her. And that's a very hard way to say it, but I've heard him say those words multiple times. I mean, he just looks forward to being with her again. So
yeah,
it's
I
just
understand.
going through.
I will say, Mackenzie, I think people really fell in love with your entire family throughout the show, not just your story, but everybody. And there was just something really different about your storyline that stood out and touched a lot of people. So yeah, I just wanted to say that I really loved getting to know your family and seeing your storyline. And I'm so happy to see that you're thriving. You have a business. Everybody check out Body Buyback.
Yes.
That's
I do
amazing.
come from a very amazing family.
Yeah.
I'm the only one who's ever messed up. So if you hate me, don't hate my family.
We love you just the way you are.
I mean, one person had to take one for the team and be the complete hot mess, and I was that one.
You're
So
paving the way for future generations.
yes, absolutely.
Hey, they say there's always one in every family, so.
That
I
was
think
me.
the last question I wanted to ask you is if you could give any advice to your younger self. I know it's kind of a loaded question given everything you've been through, but what would you say?
Fall in love with yourself. Just be selfish about it. Love yourself so much.
I
love that.
honestly couldn't agree more.
That's great advice.
Yeah, you need to love yourself before you can love anybody else, and that ultimately makes you really happy with life. On the whole outlook of life. So I totally agree. I think that's great advice.
What are you going to be drinking tonight out on the town? What's
One
your drink of
drink.
choice?
Your one drink.
Drink. It's one drink. I always go for Bloody Marys because I'm a diabetic and those don't have sugar in them.
Okay. What's another drink with no sugar?
That's the only one that I know of. I don't drink much, but I'm also that one that can be the funnest person on the dance floor with no alcohol in my system. I'm always a good time. So, yeah.
I could
I
see
kind
it.
of look like a Spice Girl tonight.
I love the look.
I did my hair on live and I was talking about this podcast I was going to be on. And they're like, you kind of look like you're 12, but go for it.
I think we have some time to do the fast 5.
Yeah, we have fast 5. So basically it's just this or that type of deal.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Workout inside or outside?
Outside.
Red or white wine?
Red.
Go out or stay in?
Go out.
TikTok or Instagram?
TikTok.
Introvert or extrovert?
Extrovert.
Gotcha. TikTok, eh?
Yeah,
I
was
love
surprised.
that.
Say
Instagram.
Oh, I love TikTok. Oh my gosh. I feel like TikTok really fits me because like on Instagram, it's about like being pretty and like having really pretty photos, which there's reels now. And TikTok is like about like having energy and a personality and dancing. And that's my jam. I don't take good photos, but I will dance.
I know you said you don't watch much reality TV, but what is your favorite show or the show that you're binging at the moment?
I do not turn on my TV. I never have. I'm too ADHD. If I have any time on my hands, I'm going to journal and write down a business plan. Like I'm just
Gotcha.
Ultimate business partner right here.
I know. Totally. Well,
now I did get sucked into the Jeffrey Dahmer, but that's the last show I've watched. But in the middle, it just got so sick I couldn't watch the rest. And I'm like, why are we wired to? I mean, you can't look away, but it's like, ugh, why are we watching and supporting this? This is so bad.
I know. I couldn't watch it. It was too terrifying.
But why are those shows the #1 viewed shows? Tell me why.
I agree. It's fucking weird. Not
like
right.
why are we all in love with the guy from You?
Right.
Why do I oddly want to like kiss him?
Yeah.
No, he's gonna murder me in the end. We're weird. We are weird people.
People are weird.
Mackenzie, honestly, you have such a great energy. It seems like you're doing great. I'm so happy for you. Thank you so much for coming to chat with us.
Yes, we love you so much.
We wish
and your
you
entire
the
family.
best. Yeah, we wish you all the best for real.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me. It means a lot.
Yeah, we'll definitely visit you as well very soon. So yeah,
you guys get your asses in Florida.